Hi everyone, I'm Julie Mitchell. I'm 28 years old, working as a marketing executive at Thompson & Brooks. Today, I want to share how my mother-in-law, Patricia, turned what should have been the happiest moments of my life into an ongoing nightmare. My husband, Mark, and I had been together for 3 years before tying the knot. Our love story was perfect, until wedding planning began and Patricia's true colors emerged. I'll never forget the day at the bridal shop. I stood in front of the mirror, admiring my dream dress, while my mom, Linda, beamed with pride, her eyes glistening with happy tears. "Darling, are you sure about that dress?" Patricia's sharp tones sliced through the moment. "It's a bit common. We Montgomerys have certain standards to maintain." My mom's radiant smile faltered, but she quickly squeezed my hand. "The dress is beautiful, Julie. You look stunning," she reassured me. Patricia smirked. "Well, Linda, I suppose you wouldn't understand the expectations of our social circle." That was just the beginning. After Mark and I got married, Patricia made a habit of showing up unannounced at our house. She'd rearrange furniture, claiming, "Mark always loved the paintings arranged this way when he was growing up. A wife should know these things." Thankfully, my best friend, Rachel, was there to support me. She witnessed Patricia's antics firsthand. "Your MIL is completely unhinged," Rachel said after Patricia cornered her at our housewarming party to interrogate her about my past relationships. Even Mark's sister, Emma, noticed the tension. Over coffee one afternoon, she confided, "Julie, Mom's always been like this. She drove away Mark's college girlfriend too. She doesn't think anyone is good enough for her precious son." Things escalated when I announced my pregnancy. Patricia's enthusiasm was a facade for her controlling nature. "Oh, sweetheart, finally, a grandchild," she exclaimed. "Now I've already planned the nursery. Sage green walls, none of that awful yellow you mentioned." "Patricia, we've already decided on the design," I said firmly. "My dear," she replied with a patronizing smile, "I raised Mark. I think I know what's best for my grandchild." My mom tried to help by bringing over home-cooked meals and offering genuine support, but Patricia constantly undermined her efforts. "Linda, dear, shouldn't you focus on your own life instead of hovering?" "Julie has me now," she quipped one evening. The breaking point came during my baby shower. Patricia hijacked the planning, even though Rachel was the organizer. "This isn't some backyard barbecue," she scoffed. "My friends from the hospital board will be attending." She invited her entire social circle but accidentally left my mom off the guest list. Emma secretly showed me the original list, where my mom's name had been crossed out. Furious, I confronted Mark that night. "Your mother deliberately excluded my mom from the shower." "Babe, I'm sure it was just an oversight," Mark said, his tone pleading. "You know how busy she's been with the planning." Little did I know, the real storm was yet to come. The day I went into labor was supposed to be a moment of joy, but it turned into chaos. My contractions started during a quiet dinner with Mark. As we rushed to the hospital, Mark called our families. Within an hour, both my mom and Patricia arrived. Patricia barged into my room, clad in a designer suit. "I'll be in the delivery room," she announced. "As head of the hospital board, I have certain privileges." Struggling through the pain, I managed to say, "Actually, I want my mom with me." "Don't be ridiculous, Julie. Linda doesn't have the social standing to handle such a delicate situation." Patricia snapped. My mom, who had been quietly arranging my comfort items, finally spoke up. "This isn't about social standing. It's about Julie's comfort." Patricia's face twisted with indignation. "Security," she shrieked, pressing the emergency button. "This woman is harassing my daughter-in-law." 2 security guards rushed in as Patricia put on her best concerned act. "I'm Mrs. Montgomery, hospital board director," Patricia declared, her voice dripping with self-importance. "This woman is making my daughter-in-law uncomfortable during labor. She's my mother." I screamed, another contraction hitting hard. The commotion drew Jenny, my nurse, into the room. Jenny had been thoroughly briefed on my birth plan. "Mrs. Montgomery," she said calmly, "I have copies of the approved delivery room list. Linda Mitchell is specifically listed as the primary support person." Patricia wasn't done. She pulled out her phone and began pacing. "I'm calling Dr. Richardson right now. This is unacceptable." Before I could respond, Emma burst into the room, her face flushed with anger. "Mom, stop it. I recorded everything you said at the baby shower about planning this." "You did what?" Patricia froze, her face draining of color. Yeah, Emma replied, holding up her phone. Including how you bragged to your friends about making sure that woman wouldn't be anywhere near your grandchild's birth. The security guards exchanged uneasy glances, clearly realizing they'd been manipulated. At that moment, Rachel arrived, her phone in hand. Oh, Patricia, she said with a sharp smile. Want me to share those texts where you schemed to ban Linda from the hospital? Mark finally found his voice. Mother, leave. Now. But darling, I'm only trying to protect. Get out, I screamed, my voice cracking from pain and fury. The look on Patricia's face as the same security guards escorted her out was priceless. But, of course, she couldn't resist a parting shot. Mark, your father will hear about this. The family name. The family name you married into. Emma cut in with a smirk. Dad already knows. Who do you think gave me the idea to record you? As Patricia's heels clicked away down the hall, my mom quietly took her place beside me, holding my hand. Mark stood beside us, looking shaken. I'm so sorry, Julie. I had no idea she'd go this far. Rachel was already typing furiously on her phone. Oh, the hospital board is definitely hearing about this abuse of power. Emma stayed behind, showing the nurse her recordings as evidence. But the truth about Patricia was just beginning to unravel. The days after my daughter Lily's birth should have been pure joy. Instead, Patricia's actions unleashed a storm. While I recovered in the hospital, her carefully crafted social facade began to crumble. You won't believe what I found. Emma burst into my room one afternoon, clutching her laptop. Mom's been embezzling from a hospital charity fund. She's been taking credit for donations she never made. Mark sank into a chair, his face pale. There's more. Dad called this morning. Apparently, she's been forging his signatures on charity documents for years. Nurse Jenny popped her head in. Mrs. Mitchell, several board members want to speak with you about Mrs. Montgomery's behavior. They're concerned about similar incidents with other patients. Rachel stormed in next, waving her phone. That witch has been spreading rumors about you at Mark's office parties. Jessica from accounting just sent me screenshots. Patricia told everyone you trapped Mark with the pregnancy. She what? Mark's face turned red. That explains why Johnson's wife was giving Julie weird looks at the company picnic. My mom, who just brought in soup, sighed. That explains the country club incident. Remember when those ladies canceled our spa day? Emma pulled out her phone. Listen to this. She played a recording and Patricia's familiar, smug voice filled the room. Of course I called security on her mother. We can't have someone from that background causing scenes in my hospital. I've got plans for my granddaughter, and they don't include mixing with the wrong sort. When did she say this? I asked, cradling Lily closer. Yesterday at her weekly bridge club, Emma replied. Right before she bragged about driving away Mark's college girlfriend by spreading rumors about drug use. Mark's phone buzzed. He glanced at the screen. It's Dad. Answering, he listened intently before hanging up. He's frozen her access to the family accounts. The charity board is meeting tomorrow. It's bad. The door opened and Patricia stepped in. Her eyes were red and her composure was gone. Julie, Mark, please, I can explain everything. Those recordings are taken out of context. Emma, how could you betray your own mother? Save it, Emma snapped. Dad knows about Catherine too. Mark frowned. Catherine? Your high school girlfriend, honey. The one who cheated on you? Mom paid some guy to pretend to be her secret boyfriend. Patricia's shoulders sagged. I did it all for you, Mark. These women weren't good enough. Mother, Mark interrupted coldly. We'll let the board handle this. Patricia turned to leave, but Rachel smirked. Wait till she finds out what's coming next. The charity board meeting isn't the only surprise heading her way. I looked down at Lily, sleeping peacefully. Sometimes karma needs a little help, I whispered. 6 months later, karma truly outdid itself. While I sat in my office, celebrating a major promotion at Thompson & Brooks, Patricia's life had unraveled. Did you see Patricia at the grocery store? Rachel texted me. She was arguing about her credit card being declined. After the hospital board uncovered her charity fraud, Patricia lost everything. She was fired, demanded to repay stolen funds, and ostracized from her social circle. The designer clothes, country club membership, all of it had been built on lies. The look on Patricia's face when James, Mark's father, announced their divorce at the country club brunch was unforgettable, or so Emma told me over coffee. Right there, in front of all her precious social circle, James made it clear why. The prenup Patricia had long forgotten about included a moral conduct clause, and she'd violated it spectacularly. She lost everything: the mansion, the summer house, even her beloved Mercedes. Patricia, who once lorded her wealth over everyone, was left with nothing. Last month, during Lily's first birthday party, the fallout continued. Emma handed me a glass of wine, a sly grin on her face. "Remember that investment group Patricia was always bragging about?" I nodded. Turns out she was running a mini Ponzi scheme with her friends' money. Now they're all suing her. The revelation made me laugh, not out of cruelty, but at the sheer poetic justice. Mark, bouncing Lily on his knee, chimed in. "Honey, your mother's been calling again." "Oh, she's living in that tiny apartment on the east side now," he said. "The same neighborhood she once called questionable when your mom lived there." I couldn't help but smile at the irony. Speaking of my mom, she's thriving. After everything Patricia put her through, James hired her to manage his new charitable foundation. She's shining in her new role, and the same women who once looked down on her now scramble for her approval. "Please tell your mother we'd love her input on the Children's Hospital fundraiser." They simper when they see me. Even Rachel couldn't help but laugh. "Karma really is creative," she said over lunch last week. Patricia, of course, tried one last time. I ran into her at the supermarket, looking far from the polished socialite she once was. She clutched a knockoff designer purse, her mascara smudged and desperation etched across her face. "Julie, please," she begged. "I've changed. I've learned my lesson. Let me see my granddaughter." "Like you let my mom see me in the delivery room?" I asked, my voice calm but firm. She stood there, rain-soaked from the storm outside. "I'm sleeping on my sister's couch. Everything I built." "You mean everything you stole and lied about?" I interrupted. "Goodbye, Patricia, now and forever. We don't need you in our family anymore." These days, Emma keeps me updated on Patricia's downfall. She's working as a sales clerk at the same department store where she used to spend thousands on clothes. Apparently, she can barely afford her phone bill now. Meanwhile, Lily is thriving, a beautiful and happy baby surrounded by people who love her. Mark's relationship with his father has never been better. And our family, the real one, is stronger than ever. Yesterday, I drove past Patricia standing at a bus stop in the rain. For a moment, I considered stopping, but then her words from years ago echoed in my mind. We Montgomery have certain standards to maintain. Well, Patricia, I've maintained my standards: integrity, honesty, and love for my family. And look who's standing in the rain now. As for me, I'm sitting in my new corner office, looking at Lily's picture on my desk. Life has never been better. Sometimes the best revenge isn't what you do to toxic people, it's living your best life while they drown in the consequences of their own actions.